We know Overwatch 2 targeted support hero reworks, game system updates, role-wide changes to support, and other things are coming to the hero class in Season 2 and beyond. The question is, what could these changes be? Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to the channel. I'm Stylosa. So, we got a blog post off the new executive producer for Overwatch 2, and this is what they say. Many of these ideas are focused on the support role and how we can make it more fun and more rewarding to play. We're discussing targeted support reworks, game system updates, and even some role-wide changes to improve support quality of life. So let's drill down into this. What could the rewards look like? Well, I think to begin with, more reward XP for the battle pass for playing support needs to happen, because you get 500 XP for the first game you play as support every day. Then you'll get 100 XP for every other game. Now, Overwatch 2's Battle Pass is 5,000 XP per level, so this isn't really good enough, is it? I think items need to be given out as well. We already know Blizzard is giving away skins for future events for just playing them, and that's good, and I'm glad they're doing that. So why not issue some sort of special item reward for dedicated support players? This could be a player icon, a spray, it could be a weapon charm, would probably be quite nice. There's a lot of things they could do here. I think the issue for me is that right now, there's a major disconnect between the roles. I play all of the roles pretty much equally in terms of time. Now to me, tank feels great and has always felt great in Overwatch 2, unless you're playing a tank that's getting completely hard countered, then it doesn't feel great, generally by the other tank. But almost all of the time you have a great time playing tank, and this is because Blizzard super buff the role and it feels incredible. DPS also feels a lot more fun. You're not firing into barriers. This seems like a very long time ago now. Some of you guys may have never even played Overwatch 1, but back in the Overwatch 1 days, if you were playing support, there was generally double barriers in your face, and you're spending a lot of time firing at barriers and not actually at enemy players. That's no longer the case. Also, the new maps are a lot better for movement, they're a lot better for flanking, they've got a lot better positions where you can set up to get better, line of sight and all kinds of stuff. So it's just a better game for DPS in every single way. I don't think there's a negative for DPS at all in Overwatch 2 when compared to Overwatch 1. So Blizzard have nailed that. But the problem is, support is torn between trying to enable their team and trying to stay alive and trying to make plays. And when you look at the other roles, tanks are just going in trying to make plays, and a byproduct of that is they make space for their team. DPS are just doing whatever they like, they're loving it, but supports are like trying to keep their DPS and their tanks up, trying to support them, trying to keep themselves alive because they're being targeted by the enemy tanks and the enemy DPS, and then they're also trying to make plays. It is a very difficult role to play. It is, right now, the lowest impact role in the game, but when played well, can make a difference. But it doesn't really matter if you've got a bad tank or you've got bad DPS. Support kind of can't really do anything without the other two roles at least playing to some sort of adequate level. So what is the solution here? How can they give players more reason to play support? Honestly, I think it's got to be increased Battle Pass XP to begin with. 500 is no good. That needs to be increased. Special item rewards as well, I think, would be a good start. Skins as well would be great. Things need to progress faster, you see, for players who are willing to put in the time and play support in the current state of the game. Because I don't want to say you're being punished for playing support, but in some ways you are. Because you are going into a role that is heavily dependent on the other roles, and if they decide not to play, then you get to lose, and that's not great. But if they do decide to play, and then you're also playing well, then you win. But then if the enemy DPS decide to play and your DPS decide to play, but then they kill you more than yours kills them, it's very complex. Basically, support is the most difficult role to play at the moment, and Blizzard are not rewarding players enough for playing it. It simply cannot be a reward that your queue time is instant. I mean, if anything, instant queue times means that nobody wants to play that role, so the people playing it should be rewarded. Targeted support reworks. What support really needs an urgent rework? This is a question that we should ask ourselves. Or what support needs their abilities buffing to make them more competitive? I'm going to use Anna as an example here, because I've often felt quite naked as Anna, and this is why I've been playing a load of Moira, because I don't feel naked as Moira. What I mean by that is, like, you get caught out. So a good DPS will wait for you to throw your nade, maybe they hear the sound effect of your sleep go off, and then they'll go on you and they'll try and kill you. And it's like, you just have to depend on your team to help you, and a lot of the time they won't. Or you have to land a bunch of shots on a fast moving target, which is difficult with Anna. If you do it, then yeah, it feels great, but it's very unlikely you'll do it. So I think in my mind, she's got nade and she's got sleep. Both of these are strong against flankers and making sure Ana can take a duel. However, the cooldowns are pretty long on these abilities. I think one change could be looking at reducing nade cooldown. The thing with that, though, is nade can be used offensively as well. So if you're throwing nades more often into the enemy team, that could get a bit OP. But what I would say is that Kiriko is now a hero, and Kiriko can remove the effect of anti-nade. So anti-nade's not as powerful as it was before if the enemy team have got a Kiriko. Also, sleep. You could reduce the cooldown on sleep, increase its, I don't know, its projectile speed, make it maybe a little bit easier to hit. Although I don't think making it easier to hit would be the play. I think just reducing the cooldown would be a good place to start. So yeah, like something like that I think would help Ana, because that's where Ana is weak. But it's not just about Ana. Now, Mercy, Baptiste, Brig, Ana, Zen, they can all find it really hard to get value when it's so difficult to keep alive and then also contribute to the team. Now, if you compare that to Lucio, Kiriko, and Moira, you'll see a stark contrast, because the thing that unites those three heroes is that they can survive and contribute almost simultaneously. Now, those three heroes are fast, they've got high mobility, they've got high survivability, they work in 5v5. All the other supports really struggle in that regard. So what the hell can Blizzard do here? Well, they could give support some form of, I don't know, speed increase through a role passive change. It probably won't, but maybe they could. But I wouldn't bet on that. Do they look at increasing the support role passive health regen, so you regen health quicker? But could that be an issue where supports then never die because they're regenerating health too fast or too much of it? I think I'd like to hear your thoughts on this, guys, because I think it's a really difficult one. You see, we've got heroes that excel in 5v5 due to their kit, and then we've got other heroes that simply don't excel. And also, this isn't restricted to support either. Like, there's a lot of other heroes in other categories that are simply not really built for this 5v5 game that we're playing in. Game system updates. I'm going to be totally honest here. I'm not entirely sure what he means by game system updates, because this could be surely anything to do with Overwatch 2, right? It could be changing the way the game is played through making wholesale changes to healing or damage numbers. Maybe it's a case of allowing certain things to not be countered. Like, what if anti-nade was also applied for a certain duration and could not be removed by Kiriko? Would that be a game system update? Now, I don't think they should do that, because I think it's nice that there is some way about playing anti-nade other than just running away and hoping you don't get hit. But like, maybe that would be a game update. I don't know. One thing that I have been thinking about, though, is the UI from PvE. This, to me, would be a game system update. So in PvE, you can see the health of your team in the bottom left-hand corner above your hero portrait. This actually is really cool for support, because you can see where, like, how much health everyone's got on the team. I know that generally you can get that information at a glance by just playing Overwatch anyway. If you're looking at your teammates, you will see their health if you're playing support. But I think that could be really cool. And if they added that as a toggleable UI option, I think people would really like that. And that would go a little way to making support feel a little bit more loved as a role. But again, I'm going to throw this question back to you guys. What do you think they should do with this? What could game system updates actually entail? Role-wide changes to improve quality of life. Okay, this has got to be the role passive. It has to be. So maybe they could allow supports to benefit from all three passives. Imagine that. Imagine if you got the knockback and the stun resist from the tanks, you got the reload speed and the movement speed buff of the DPS, and you got the health regen. Maybe that would be totally broke. I think it probably would. But imagine if you got that. That'd be super cool. But it would be super OP, so don't quote me on that. They could, like, I don't know, increase the healing received, as I said earlier, from the current support passive. What is the support passive? Maybe what if the support passive just gives a little speed boost as well? But again, maybe they probably wouldn't go for that. Maybe they could look at giving supports better automated callouts. Now, again, this would be a role change. It wouldn't be a role passive, but it would be a role-wide change. So I've been playing a lot of Moira recently, just because, yeah, Moira's great at dealing with anybody trying to kill her. She can reposition fast, and she is fun to play as well. You can do tons of healing, you can do tons of damage. It feels great. High mobility as well. But the thing with Moira is when you run out of healing juice and you've got that Genji in front of you that really needs healing, and you can't heal him and he just dies, he looks at you, and then over voice chat, he's like, what are you doing, Moira? And I'm like, I've got no juice. It would be nice if Moira made it very clear that she had no juice. Like, I am out of juice. Now, the supports do this. They will say they're reloading. They will say, I'm running out of juice or whatever, but it's not obvious enough, I don't think. There needs to be some sort of like visual representation that you've actually ran out of the healing juice, so you cannot heal. I think that again would go a long way to improving quality of life for supports, because it's going to reduce that sort of toxicity you get from your teammates where they're asking for heals and you're like, well, I can't physically heal you, I've got no healing juice because I've just used all of it keeping everybody else alive. Conclusion then. All right then, so this is good news that Blizzard are talking about support. And I think what is very telling here is Jared is the new executive producer. And for his first post, his first address to the community to be about, okay, we're going to look at supports and we're going to look at reworks. We're going to look at game system updates. We're going to look at giving you better rewards. We're going to look at role-wide changes. That is a massive statement. And as much as the communication has been okay from Blizzard, it's not been great. And yeah, we get blog posts, we get updates and stuff, but we don't really get to understand what Blizzard are doing with the game and if they acknowledge the problems that the community perceive or the community are actually having. So I think this actually is a good sign. I think we might be going into some good times with Jared if he's going to be this open and tell us exactly what's going on with the major issues, because this is a major issue. Support in Overwatch 2 doesn't feel as great to play as it did in Overwatch 1. It has its moments, don't get me wrong. Like, it does have its moments. There are heroes that do feel great. If you're playing Kiriko, Lucio, Moira, they feel great. But if you're playing Anna, maybe it's not as great. Baptiste, maybe it's not as great. You often feel like you get caught out, and it's almost like you feel like you don't have tools available to deal with the situation. I'm not asking for an I win button or anything like that, but when you are pushed into a corner and you have no abilities left because you've been spending those abilities keeping your team alive or assisting your team instead of selfishly keeping them for yourself. Baptiste is the example I'm using here in my mind, where you keep lamp to try and keep yourself alive, and regenerative field as well. But if you're using those to keep your team alive and a clever DPS sees that, then they dive on you. Well, the DPS gets rewarded for that, but they just get rewarded because you can't do anything. Like, it's not like you've got an option to do something to deal with that situation. So it is a complex issue, I get that. But I do want you guys to let me know in the comments below what you think about all of this. I think it's good news that supports are being looked at, because they are the, I'm just going to say they are the worst role to play right now in Overwatch 2 in a lot of ways. And it does need to be changed, because support has got to be one of the, support is integral to the game. So again, like I said, I'm going to leave the video at that. It's good that Blizzard are talking about this. It's good that the new executive producer is being open about this. And of course, he talks about all kinds of other things as well, like he went into detail on competitive, hero balance, and all that stuff. Good news, good stuff. Keep the updates coming, Blizzard. All right, guys. Thank you for listening and watching to the video. I'm Stylosa, and I will catch you lovely lot on the next one. See you soon.